Alrighty, everybody. Welcome in, and this is Shum the Main, and we're going to read through Amos chapter 7, 8, and 9 today. The reason I'm reading 3 because that's the end of the book of Amos, so let's just get into it. Alright, Amos chapter 7. Locust, fire, and a plumb line, sorry. Chapter 7. This is what the sovereign Lord showed me. He was preparing swarms of locusts, if the king's share has been harvest, and just as the late crops were coming up, when they had stripped the land clean, I cried out, Sovereign Lord, forgive me. How can Jacob survive? He is so small. So the Lord relented. This will not happen, the Lord said. This is what the Sovereign Lord showed me. The Sovereign Lord was calling for Judah judgment by fire. It dried up the great deep and devoured the land. Then I cried out, Sovereign Lord, I beg you, stop. How can Jacob survive? He is so small. So the Lord relented. This will not happen either. The Sovereign Lord said. This is what he showed me. The Lord was standing by a wall that had been built true to Plumb, with a plumb line in his hand, and the Lord asked me, What do you see, Amos? A plumb line, I replied. Then the Lord said, Look, I am setting a plumb line among the people, Israel. I will spare them no longer. The high places of Isaac will be destroyed. The sanctuaries of Israel will be ruined. With my sword I will rise against the house of Jeroboam. Sorry. So he's saying that he's gonna protect it, but he's going to destroy certain parts of it, is what he's saying here. So give me 1 second. It looks like my camera's like there we go. That's a little bit more clear. Alright. So we're gonna go on to the next part. Amos and Amaziah. Then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent a message to Jeroboam, king of Israel. Amos is rising as conspiracy against you in the very heart of Israel. The land cannot bear all his words. For this is what Amos is saying. Jeroboam will die by the sword, and Israel will surely go into exile, away from their native land. Then Amaz said to Amos, Get out, you seer, go back to the land of Judah, earn your bread there, and do your prophesying there. Don't prophesy anymore at Bethel, because this is the king's sanctuary and a temple of the kingdom. Amos answered Amaziah, I was neither a prophet nor a son of a prophet, but I was a shepherd, and I also took care of sycamore fig trees. But the Lord took me from tending the flock, and said to me, Go prophesy to my people Israel. Now then, hear the word of the Lord, you say. Do not prophesy against Israel, and stop preaching against descendants of Isaac. Therefore, this is what the Lord says. Your wife will become a prostitute in the city. Your son and daughters will fall by the sword. The land will be measured and divided up, and you yourself will die in a pagan country. And Israel will surely go into exile, away from their native land. So, basically, he was prophesying about what would happen to the land, and then he got told to stop prophesying against Israel in the land because the Lord was getting mad that he kept prophesying against Israel. Um, well, no, he hold on. Amos answered, Amos, I will neither prophet nor the son. I was neither a prophet nor the son or the prophet, but I was a shepherd, and also took care of sycamore figs. But the Lord took me from tending flocks. Go prophesies to my people Israel. Now here, all right. So he said the Lord basically told him after Amaziah pretty much told him to stop prophesying there because of the king that was there and all that. He didn't. The Lord told him, don't go and prophesy against Israel. So, and so we're gonna see the next part of what's gonna happen. So, a basket of ripe fruit. This is what the Lord showed me. A basket of ripe fruit. Oh, this is chapter 8. What do you see, Amos? He asked. A basket of ripe fruit, I answered. Then the Lord said to me, the time is ripe for my people Israel. I will spare them no longer. In that day, declares the sovereign Lord, the songs in the temple will turn to a wailing, many, many bodies flung anywhere. Silence. Hear this, you who trampled the needy, and do away with the poor of the land, saying, when will the new moon be over, that we may sell grain, and the Sabbath be ended, that we market wheat, skimping over skimping on the measure, boosting the price, and cheating with dishonest scales, buying the poor with silver, and the needy for a pair of sandals, selling the sweep, selling even the sweeping with the wheat. The Lord has sworn by himself the pride of Jacob. I will never forget anything they have done. Will not the land tremble for this, and all who live in it mourn? The whole land will rise like the Nile. It will be stirred up and then sink, like the river of Egypt. In that day, declares the sovereign Lord, I will make the sun go down at noon, and darken the earth in broad daylight. I will turn your religious festivals into mourning, and all your singing into weeping. I will make all of your wheat, all of your wear, sackcloth, and shave your heads. I will make that time like mourning for an only son, and the end of it like a bitter day. The days are coming, declares the sovereign Lord, when I will send a famine through the land, not a famine of flood or thirst for water, but a famine of hearing the words of the Lord. People will stagger from the sea to sea. People will stagger from sea to sea and wander from the north to east, searching for the word of the Lord, but they will not find it in that day. The lovely young women and strong men will faint because of their thirst. Those who swear by sin of Samaria, who say, as surely as your God lives, Dan, or as surely as your God, as the God of Beersheba lives, they will fall, never to rise again. Right. So he's basically, okay, so at that point, he was prophesying against Israel, and there's a reason he told him not to do it. But this part here makes it clear that the Bible, the Word, the Bible itself, is going to be taken from them. and they're not going to be able to hear the word. They're not going to be able to like even remotely read it. Because in today's world, we're getting to a point where the Bible is actually illegal to have. All right. And it's because it saves people from destroying each other, stuff like that. Um, you know, and I was talking about this last night where, people are going to jail and the only time they read this book, they read the Bible is when they're actually like in jail or something. And I was like, well, if that's the case, then nobody actually wants to follow or believe in God. I'm one of the few that sits down and reads the Bible here for you guys and reads it off here sometimes. And what I'm gonna say, it might upset some people, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't think the Bible needs to be in jails. I think it needs to be taken out of jails. Give them a Harry Potter book instead. Because this book here, you shouldn't be reading this when you're in jail. You should be reading this outside. You should be going you should be reading this outside of church to understand it. There's a reason there's a reason they make them read it because it helps calm you down. It helps you from, you know, being destructive. And that's why like they read it in jails. But you know, you should be reading this before you even get put into jail. And that's the point of like why now I'm coming to the conclusion that people that do go to jail shouldn't be shouldn't be the only ones saying that I have read the Bible. Because you know what? That upsets me a little bit that people are even saying that. And the reason it upsets me is because it shows us that nobody is believing in the Lord. Nobody wants to believe. Nobody wants to follow the Lord. Nobody wants to follow Jesus Christ. Why is it that it takes a guy to get arrested to pick a Bible up and read it? Now, we're at the point of changing that though. And that's why I'm saying that Bible shouldn't be put in those places anymore. So, all right, chapter 9. Israel to be destroyed. I saw the Lord standing by the altar, and he said, strike the tops of the pillars, so that the threshold shake. Bring them down on the head of all the people. Those who are left will kill with the sword. Not one will get away. None will escape. Though they dig down to the depths below, from there the hand will take them. Though they climb up to the heavens above, from there I will bring them down. Though they hide themselves on the top of Caramel, I will hurt them. I will hunt them down and seize them. Though they hide from my eyes at the bottom of the sea, there I will command the serpent to bite them. Though they are driven into exile by their enemies, there I will command the sword to slay them. I will keep my eye on them for harm and not for good. The Lord Almighty, the Lord Almighty, he touches the earth, and it melts, and all who live in it mourn. The whole land rises like the Nile, then skins like the river of Egypt. He builds his lofty palace in heavens, and sets its foundations on earth. He calls for the waters of the sea, and pours them out over the face of the land. The Lord is his name. Are not you Israelites the same to me as the Cushites, declares the Lord. Do not bring up Israel from Egypt, the Philistines of Captor, and the Armanes of Ker. Surely the eyes of the sovereign Lord are on the sinful kingdom. I will destroy it from the face of the earth, yet I will not totally destroy the descendants of Jacob, declares the Lord. For I will give the command, and I will shake the people of Israel. among all the nations, as grain is shaken in a sieve, and not a pebble will reach the ground. All the sinners among the people will die by the sword. All those who say disaster will not overtake or meet us. So he's talking about definitely destroying Israel right here. You know, I think it's this time frame we're in because the Bible does predict stuff. Um, but he definitely is talking about wanting to destroy Israel, and that's what's going on right now. There's a war going on in Israel. Palestine is taking over Israel, and Israel is going to destruction. So that's why, like this, when the guy brought that up to me, I pretty much was like, "Wow, this actually does look like a prediction." So, all right, and let's get into the next part. Israel's restoration. In that day, I will restore David's fallen shelter. I will repair its broken walls, and restore its ruins, and rebuild it as it used to be, so that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and all the nations that bear my name, declares the Lord. Who will do these things? The days are coming, declares the Lord, when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman, and the planter by the one trading grapes. New wine will drip from the mountains and flow from all the hills. And I will bring my people Israel back from exile. They will rebuild the ruined cities and live in them. They will plant vineyards and drink their wine. They will make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant Israel in their own land. Never again will be uprooted from the land I have given them, says the Lord your God. So after everything's said and done, he's going to rebuild. They're going to be rebuilding Israel, and it's because it got destroyed. So they needed a new Israel. And, you know, that's why, that's why I say that, like, we're seeing a prediction unfold. The guy told me that, and it's very, very well written of how closely it is to today. That's why, like, this overtaken, when they overtake Israel, that's part of like what's going on here. God's mad at Israel right now, and people are going in to attack Israel. And that's why we're seeing it all play out the way it is. And that's why, like, the prediction is just wild. So, but the Lord said Israel is going to move to a new portion of land. Well, we don't know where that is yet. And once the war is completely done and over with, we'll see what happens next. So, um, but yeah, again, going back to what I said, is this shouldn't be read when you've gotten in trouble. All right, this should be read before you get in trouble. Go read a Harry Potter book, or something like that. In fact, I think the government should take these out of the jails and prisons and put Harry Potter books in there, just because it'd be a laughable joke for how stupid they are for going in there. You know, I understand being a man. I do. I understand making mistakes, but there's a limit to your mistakes that you should be aware of, that you shouldn't be doing, that makes you go into a place where you have to end up reading this. Read this on your free time, learn from it. I know a couple people who on a daily basis, they make an effort to read this, and they're not even in jail or prison. So, and the worst part about it is after some of them read it, they still come back out of jail and prison and still commit a sin or a crime. And that's the worst part about it. So, anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. I know, like that, if I upset you with that last topic or the topic at all, It's just something you should understand that because you went to jail and you read it doesn't mean you believe in God. It means you started reading it because you were bored. You didn't read it because you felt some sort of way off of it or learned anything from it. So anyway, with that said, take it easy and God bless.